you can see just how clear the lens looks. Come over to the passenger side, and you can see just how bad that lens looks. Come back over here. Nice and clean. Alright everyone, so today I am going to be replacing the outer lenses along with the inner DRL tubes on my B9 A4 Allroad. Now this should apply to any of the B9 A4s with the full LED headlights, not the matrix lights, and not the base HID headlights. Now a common issue on these cars is the lens will get little micro cracks in the lens itself. Mine are a bit pitted and it might be hard to see on camera, but there are a lot of micro cracks. And at nighttime when the lights are on, it is very evident. I could try to wet sand them down, polish and clear coat or PPF them, but I have decided to just buy new lenses since I have to open them up anyway. Other common issue, and you might notice this on a lot of Audis, VWs, even Mercedes and some Hondas as well, the DRLs start turning a bit yellow looking and dim. Now I already removed the bumper, and I will have a link to that video down below. To remove the headlight, I believe it's just some T30 screws. There's one on top here, one here, and I believe one down in there, which you can sort of see. I don't think there is one up here, but if there is, I'll have to remove this. This actually is the B9.5 engine covers, which I also have a video for on how to install. The B9s only have a little plastic piece here, and then this is just exposed to the painted metal underneath. Okay, so I did end up popping off this cover. I don't think I actually had to, but as you can see, it's just some push pins that go into these holes. If you have the B9 without this piece, then you shouldn't have to worry about it at all. And there is another screw right here that I missed, so it's just the one here, one down in there, one underneath here, and then one there. Alright, well, I had to pull the car in because it started to rain, and I also had to undo a couple more T30 bolts. So there's one here, right here in front, and then the hood latch, or the hood release lever bracket has another screw, and then has two clips that just pop off. And the same thing on this side, one up here, one down here. And the reason for that is I was unable to get this headlight out since this piece is in the way. So hopefully I can pull this down. I probably will have to pull this clip off holding the wire for my front camera off. But then I should be able to bend this forward. As you can see, there's a flexible piece of plastic there, enough to get the headlight pulled out. So I will give that a try. Okay, so one thing, I did unplug it. I did pull this front piece off. It'll be easier if I had both headlights unbolted, so I just popped it off this side. It just lifts right up off of this little springy guy. Now, one thing to note is this breather tube for the headlight. This tube allows condensation to drain from inside the headlight, preventing it from fogging up. The tube is secured in place, so all you have to do is pull it off from the light. Don't forget to reattach it when you're putting everything back together. Now that I have the headlight off, it's going to be a bunch of T20 screws to take off the computers, the control modules, and the DRL turn signal LED modules. So I will remove those. Then there are a bunch of these type clips you want to pop off. And then since this headlight is butyl, it's not permaseal, as some have told me. It is butyl. In the oven, 225 degrees Fahrenheit for maybe 12 minutes should be enough to start getting this thing open. and if you need to put it back in for a few more minutes as it cools off, you can do that. Just make sure you don't leave it in too long, because you can start melting things. And don't go too hot either, as that will also melt things. Alright, so after you unscrew this guy, you do have to pull it up, but there is a gasket around here, so be careful not to destroy that. And this plug here, it'll be plugged in. You will have to pull your finger behind it. There's a little push tab, and then you can push this up. One second. So if you pull that, you'll be able to lift this up like that, and then push it up like that, and it should unplug. This one, very simple. Just pull it up. There's also a gasket on that, so be careful not to damage that. And this guy on the end, you can see here, these plastic clips will go onto the ends of the tubes, and then there is a plug here. This white guy, just push down on this here, and you should be able to pull it off. Now, it might be a little hard to tell. You can kind of see there's a yellowish tint to those tubes. We'll see when I have this headlight open how bad they are. The LED module itself, the LEDs look to be in good condition. Sometimes they might look a little burnt or have some of that plastic if it started to melt. I know on the A3s that's a common issue. So hopefully it's not just a module, because this will be a lot of extra work for nothing. But I need to replace the lenses anyway, so I might as well. Okay, so here you can see the ends of two of the DRL tubes, and I'm not sure if you can see on video, on camera, but they do have a yellow tint to them. Here's the replacement. You can see side by side, there's quite a difference in color. This one's much clearer, neutral color, and then these have that these have that yellow hue to them, and that is what causes the DRLs to appear yellow and dim. So I will be replacing all of these once I open up the headlight. I have already taken off all the clips here. See over there, there's a pile of them, and I'm just waiting for the oven to preheat. I have the headlight open. As you can see, the old lens is right there. I don't care that's on the ground because it's going to go in the trash. I have to say, these were the easiest headlights I have ever opened, and I've opened quite a few over the years. All I did was I took one of these trim push pin removers, the kind that have like the lever, and I just put these between the channel and the lip on the lens, which, if I grab it, you should be able to see there is that little raised lip there. And 225 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven for 12 minutes, and this thing just opened up super easy. The butyl is nice and soft. It does get very gooey. It kind of gets everywhere. As you can see, I got a little bit on the plastic piece here, but that's not a big deal. A trick with butyl is to get it nice and soft, and then you're able to play with it to form it. And you can actually, if you have some stuff that's stuck somewhere like this, if you get a ball, get a little bit tacky, it'll stick right to it. It might take a little bit, but it'll come right off. Do not smear it, just dab it, and it'll stick to itself and pull right off the surface. Same thing if you're using a screwdriver, you can get it right off. This was covered in butyl when I was going and pulling the lens off. I made sure to take off all the strings so that it didn't get everywhere on the interior. And it came off really easily. Now I will be wearing gloves, clean gloves, handling these interior bits. It's very thinly coated, so you don't want to get fingerprints on it and then try to wipe it, because it can potentially scratch the inside pieces. I got a little bit on this chrome piece here, which shouldn't be too visible, but it is a little bit smudged now. And then somehow this piece broke. It snapped. I don't think it should be too big of a deal. I think it happened when I pulled the module off. I think it pulled some of the tubes out and did crack that a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Worst case, I can JB weld that if I have to, but we will see. All right, so now that I know what I'm doing, I'll go over in depth how to remove all these trim pieces. So the first one you're going to want to take out is this strip right here, which you can see I have already started. Now, what I did was I took one of these little trim remover pry tools and I started in the corner here to pop it up a little bit. And then I took another plastic trim remover and hooked it up under in here to pop it up more so I can grab it, and it's just a bunch of plastic tabs to pull out. Now, one thing you must be aware of is any of these chrome looking pieces. They're a very thin layer of that chrome finish look. I stupidly tried to wipe some dirt off of the driver's headlight, and it took the finish right off, even with just a microfiber cloth. So if you can, do not touch those at all. Wear clean, new gloves when handling all these pieces. And if you do get some dirt, try to blow it off. Don't rub it, or else the finish will come right off. All right, now that I got the top trim piece off, the next one is to take off this bottom one here that goes all the way down here. Now this is the one that I accidentally removed the chrome finish on with a microfiber towel, so do not touch it. If you can, touch the bottom side, since that's not going to be visible. Now you can see here there's a tab right there, a tab right there, and then a T20 screw right there. So I'm going to undo that screw and then work on popping those tabs out very carefully. Alright, as you can see, my headlight already has a crack on that mount. That was there when I opened it up, so please do be careful when you go popping these tabs out. Now that the bottom trim piece is out, the next step is to take this outer plastic cover off. So you're going to need to pop this side marker light out. It's just held in by a tab here in the corner. And then this will come out, just put it to the side, and then there's going to be a T20 screw under there, and then another one in the corner over here. And you'll take those out, and then again, you're going to use a trim remover tool, kind of pop the lens out all along the top there and on the side, and then this whole piece will come out, exposing the tubes for the upper portion of the DRL and the turn signal strip. Then after that, it'll be the middle section for the lower portion of the DRL, and then it'll be putting everything back together in a reverse order. Okay, I lied. The first step that I forgot from yesterday is to remove this inner chrome piece here. There is a tab. Once I pull it off, you'll see this tab here that I just stuck a screwdriver down into here, and you'll be able to see it when you have the lights open. Just pop that tab off, and that comes open. And then when you pry the clear part, there is a tab up here. You can sort of see it. And I just stuck one of these tools down in here to pop that tab down, and then used this guy to pry it off. And then this should just come out just like that. And make sure to be careful on this end. This side kind of hooks around here, so you're going to want to slide it a little bit this way as you pull off. And then we have that out. And then you can see here the exposed DRL tubes, and those will just sort of slide on out, which actually I will want to take this top bracket off as well, but that's pretty easy. Okay, so to take this piece out, I just used a pry tool, pop this edge over here, then you can see there's a tab up top there, and it will be the same all the way up here, so I can't really do it one-handed, but there'll be another tab up here. You just pop that out, and this whole piece will come out, and you can remove these upper light tubes. So to get that tab off up here, I actually went from the opening here for the LEDs and stuck a screwdriver in. You'll be able to see down in there this tab right there. Just push up on it and it'll pop all out. And now we have complete access to these top tubes, and they just come out like so. It's pretty easy to match them up, so don't be too afraid of putting them aside without looking. But as you can see here, well, let's see. Yeah, you can kind of get a bit of a idea of how yellow they are. You know, honestly, they don't look super yellow when you have them out, but then when you do put them next to the new ones, it becomes evident. And it doesn't need much yellowing to completely change the look of the DRLs. So now we're just going to remove this guy, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, now you can see that this lower chrome piece is off. Underneath there are 3 tabs you can see here, and then this little guide tab right there, and then underneath my finger another one. And that one just settles in. It's hard to see on the picture, but down in here. But the only ones you really have to worry about are these 3. So I took one of these guys and popped off here. Then there's a tab in here. If you can see that clear piece right there where I'm pointing, that has to be popped off, and then you are able to start pulling it here with one of your pry tools, and then it pops off. You have to give it a little bit of force to pull it out from down in here, but there's not too much keeping it in there, so don't be afraid. Then I'll just take this clear piece off, which is just a few more tabs, then everything is exposed, and I can replace the tubes. Okay, final piece is out. You can see here there are some tabs, and then this one on the side, it slides in right through there. So I just use this guy again to get in there, pry it up, pops right out. Okay, so I lied. I do have to take this top piece off in order to get this lower portion, lower tube removed. So it is just a T20 here, up top in the middle, and then one down in here, and then one right here, and then this whole piece will slide right out like so, and then you're able to get this tube out. Now do notice that there are these little tabs on the tubes, and they do pop into little clips. You see one right here for the lower one, and the top one up in there. So that's how they stay secured. So they might take a little bit of force to pop them out. Alright, when you put things back together, you are going to want to put the turn signal DRL module back in place. And the reason for that is when you install the upper tubes, you're going to have to push them into these clips here. And if you try to do that after everything's back together with the lens on, it's just going to push those tubes out, and they're going to pop out of place. So you need to put this, screw this back on, plug it back in, make sure it's secure, and then you can put the top tubes in, snap them into place, and then proceed with reinstalling everything else. Otherwise, you're not going to have a fun time, as you have to take everything apart again to get those tubes to seat properly on that module. Okay, now that everything is back together, final 2 steps before the lens is dust everything off. So I just used one of these electronic dusters, and then you're going to want to use a heat gun, heat up the channels, and use like a flathead screwdriver to flatten out the butyl that is in the channels, and then you're going to want to add some more since some came off on the lens when you removed it. I have butyl from Diode Dynamics. You can get some, I know the Retrofit Source sells some by Morimoto. Any headlight butyl sealant will be fine. And yeah, you're going to want to stretch it out so it's a little bit thinner than what comes in the box, and then feed it into the channel so that you have a nice full coverage. And then you're going to press the new lamp into place, heat it back up, and then I use these type pliers to really clamp down the lens to the rest of the housing, and then reinstall the clips and let it cool off. Reinstall all of the modules, and then you should be good to go. One thing to point out as well that I didn't realize until today, now that it's light outside, is that there is this rubber piece that goes on the side of the lens. Don't forget to transfer this over. This will just provide a seal against your fender. It's not critical, but it will provide a better seal to prevent dirt from getting behind the light, and will give it that factory look. So don't forget to do that. It just pops in. There's two pieces that pop out here that go into these two holes, and it attaches just like that. Okay. One thing when putting the headlights back on the car, in order to get this nice flush fitment against the fender, I did not realize that there is this mounting point under here. There's what looks like a washer on the back here. Now this can spin, and when you spin it, it changes how far out this washer is, which the plastic bracket on the headlight will mount against. So when I first installed it, there was a huge gap on the fender because this was too far out. So I had to turn it and adjust it a bunch until I finally got it to the fitment I wanted. So just keep that in mind if you first reinstall the headlights and they're not fitting properly. There's this mount down here, and I believe the 2 of the 3 other ones also have a similar type adjustment, so you might have to fiddle around with everything. One issue that I had after I had everything back together was my hood not closing properly. Everything must have been raised up slightly after reinstalling, and that was preventing my hood from closing unless I really slammed it down, which obviously wasn't something I wanted to do every time I had to close the hood. Not to mention, I felt like I was going to break something when I did that. So I was about to remove everything when I noticed that the strikers on the hood looked to be adjustable, and it turns out they are. Each one has a screw that changes how far out the strikers are from the hood. I ended up making them stick further out, which allowed the hood latches to catch them without having to slam the hood down. And I also adjusted the bump stops so that they were in their most retracted state, which you can do that just by twisting them like you would a bolt. So once all that was done, I was able to close my hood normally, and the gaps between the hood and the headlights, grille, and fenders didn't appear to be any different from before. And here is the final result. Much better. The car looks like a new car now, aside from being dirty. Definitely worth it. Alright, I have the driver's side headlight back connected to the car. It's not bolted on or anything, but I'm not sure if you can see on video, but in person there's a huge difference. The new replaced DRL tubes now look very white, and the passenger side looks extremely yellow. Also, if I come up, you can see just how clear the lens looks. Come over to the passenger side, and you can see just how bad that lens looks. Come back over here. Nice and clean. Now, I did notice that inner part of the new DRL tubes might not quite be as bright as on the OE, but I would take a slight change in brightness any day over that awful faded yellow look. With the new DRL tubes, the turn signal and the DRL are not quite as bright as the factory tubes. It's a little hard to pick up on camera. You can kind of see it. I've lowered the exposure quite a bit here. But the passenger side looks to be a bit brighter, a lighter color. They are about the same color in person, but it is a good bit brighter, to the point where you can notice that it looks a bit more blinding, especially at night. Now, it is still perfectly visible during the day, so I'm not too concerned, but it is something to keep in mind if you prefer to have that pristine factory appearance. It won't be quite as bright as it was from the factory. However, all in, I am probably $200 out of pocket, maybe $250, and I will take $250 over $2,500 a light from Audi, or even on eBay they're over $1,000 for a new one if you can find them from other sellers. But as you can see, the lens is nice and clean. I would say the new tubes maybe don't transmit the light as evenly as the OEs, but it's close enough. Yeah, you can see the difference here, but you can see how bad the lens is. It's even worse in person.